Actually, it's one of those mornings where I got up and I saw that a million schools were delayed. I thought, surely we will be, maybe. So I thought, I'm going to go in, get some work done, grade some papers, plan my class and stuff, and then if they delay, I'll just go right back to bed. But finally at 6 o'clock, I threw in the towel and decided I better get a shower. It looks like going in. So we did. We went in. Now tomorrow morning, wind chill 20 below. Maybe one of those can't get the buses started mornings. Who knows? Could use the sleep. All right, good. Does anybody have any questions about other people's project? Anything you want to ask one another? I like the timings that you presented. You know, it sounds like, you know, obviously we've got a mix in here. Some people have literally already started or will be starting very soon to collect data. Some of you may be doing more of the heart of it toward the end of February, early March. Your deadline date gives you plenty of time there. And so we had talked about, I talked about in the fall, that you know, if you can overlap some of the NTPA with the capstone project, that's great. And even if you can't, it's not a huge deal. If you need a couple weeks to collect the data and you do it end of February to the middle of March, you still have over a month to write your paper, so it's not that big of a deal. The deadlines, just a few things in terms of project timing here, getting back to what Dr. Blanton asked about. So the NTPA date, I think it varies from programs, so those of you that are middle childhood, I think February 27th is your date, is that correct?
Yes.
That's okay, because I know that changed a couple times. And the AYA are both science and math March 6th. Science, okay. I wasn't sure. I sent actually an email to all of the instructors and double checked that. Those were the dates that I had, but I never got a final confirmation. So anyway, bottom line is, TPA is off of everybody's desk no later than March 6th, and in many cases much earlier than that. So we got plenty of time to work with. I want to continue to encourage you to get that TPA moving, done, off your desk. Don't let it be a burden. Don't let it haunt you for weeks. It just isn't worth it. You want to do your best job. You know you're going to do fine on it. We know that every single student in middle childhood and AYA that did the TPA in the fall passed it. Everyone passed it. So pressure's on. You know, make sure that keeps going, right? But bottom line is, we didn't know if that was going to happen. We didn't know what kind of results we were going to get. We didn't have that many people student teaching. You know, there were people who that had deferred student teaching from spring. We had a couple of athletes and so forth. And we had kind of a small pool of people. The bottom line is, every one of them passed it. They were very well prepared and felt like it went very well. So we want to build on that, keep the ball rolling along, know that you were well prepared, you're going to do fine, but you know, if you can keep that ball rolling and follow the rubrics, you'll do fine. So the action research work then is basically, you know, the bulk of it is done in March, April timeframe. For those of you who are collecting data already, will be soon. That's great. That gives you that much of a head start on it. But kind of going into this semester, I knew that at the very least we'd have at least 6 or 7 weeks in there in March and April after the TPA due dates when we'd be able to get work done. So any collection of data that you can get done between now and March is just icing on the cake there. The capstone paper is due on April 15th is our final deadline. So again, that will give you a good 6 weeks between the TPA basically and the due date of the capstone paper. And from what I heard, from what you just told us here, all of the data is going to be collected at least by the second week of March, and it'll give you a good month to be able to get the papers together, which should be plenty of time. April 22nd, which is the week after your deadline, that's on Tuesday, and it is a common time at this same time, 4:30 to 5:50. We will be having what we're, for the first time, it's a new event, we're calling it Capstone Conversations. And we did that on purpose because, you know, if you go all the way back to, Summer Bridge, you had a sharing opportunity at the end of Summer Bridge with all the things, your posters and so forth that you had put together. At the end of your freshman year, you had a research symposium where you could share the research that you did in a formal way. But we really haven't done anything like that since then. And so the object here is to give you an opportunity to tell some other people about what you did and what you learned. It's going to be a very informal day, so you don't have to worry about it being any kind of major presentation. This is really, literally, you just taking your paper in and kind of summarizing in a few minutes what you did, what you learned. And the way it's going to work is pretty simple, I think. We're going to have everybody who is in 3160, where you were last year writing their proposals, will be there. So there are about 25 of them, and there are about 25 of us. And we will get together in room 1104, Hour West, so the big, we call it the community room or whatever, in West. And we'll get together that day at 4:30. And we are going to arrange you, we'll start out kind of all together as a large group for just a few minutes, a kind of introduction. And then I'm going to break you up into 2 groups. And there'll be one group that will be all AYA math, and the other group will be AYA Science and Middle Childhood combined. Those numbers are roughly equal. And that will be from cohort, or from 3160 also. So anybody who's AYA Math, it's in 3160, who's thinking about what they want to do next year and considering their project and writing their proposal, they'll get to hear from all of the AYA Math people that finished it this year, and same for the Science and Middle Childhood. So we'll keep those groups together. So I think one group ends up having 21 and the other one has 25 or something like that, but there'll be roughly 2 groups. We'll just divide you literally up into opposite ends of the room in a circle to be able to do your sharing. Because there are fewer math people than there are middle and science combined, the math people will have a little bit more time. So I think the math presentations, you're going to have around a total of 8 minutes each, so it's not going to be a whole lot of time. You have about 5 or 6 minutes to tell the group about what you researched, what you found out, what your conclusions were, and give them about 3 minutes or so to ask you some questions and do that. For the middle childhood and AYA science, we will have about 5 minutes. So it's going to be limited. So you only have about 3 or 4 minutes to summarize what you did, what you learned, and give them a minute or 2 to ask their questions. We'll actually have you kind of on a time grid that day, and in probably alphabetical or something order, and we'll keep you right on that time grid. That each person is going to have a certain amount of time. We'll have a timekeeper within that table, and make sure that we keep moving along. We basically just go right around the room and allow you to share what you did, what you found out, what your conclusions were. It's a great opportunity for you to be able to share with one another what your results were, and at the same time to teach the 3160 folks coming up what you did and how you collected your data. Maybe even being able to share with them a snag or 2 that you ran into, or some things you might want to warn them about going into it next year. If I had to do over again, I wish I would have done this, and maybe give them some helpful tips along the way. We just kind of keep moving right around the room. Within an hour or so, we're finished, and so by the time the common time's over at 5:50, we're done. Okay, so that's all on April 22nd. We'll have some snacks at the beginning, some food. Does anybody have questions about that? Okay. Any questions at all about? Oh, that's one other thing. Just a reminder then that the checklist, as you pointed out, is due 2 weeks after that, by April 29th. So by that time, we'll have the points from attendance and participation here. That I will have assigned. We'll have your checklists. We'll have your final papers on your or your grades on your final paper. Also, we'll be able to finish your grades then at the last week of the semester. Get those all turned in on time. So, anything you need to know before we turn you loose, Leslie?
Are you there about the honors combo with this? Or I can ask them now. I just don't want to waste their time.
Why don't you throw the question out, because we do have others that are doing honors credit too. So.
Okay, so do we have to do the capstone conversations presentation and the presentation we have to do for honors? Because we have to present our research for that as well.
My understanding, isn't the presentation for honors optional? Or is that
I thought
required?
we had to do it. I can check.
Okay. In the past, I'm almost certain it's been optional, because I've been an honors project advisor many times over, and some of my advisees have presented and some of them haven't. So I would check on that first to see if that's even required. If it is required, then yes, you would be doing both. But again, keep in mind, in perspective here, the honors project presentations are much more kind of formal, get up and go through your project. This is going to be literally in a circle like you did today, just a brief shipping.
You've got some good stuff. I mean, wouldn't you want to be presenting it? So besides our conversations, if you want to do a poster, there's a lot of end of the year research, like presentations where you could make a poster and do it in, what was it called? I did it for Min, Kayla.
It's just called the research.
Undergraduate Research
Undergraduate
Symposium.
Research Symposium. They do it in fall and spring.
Yeah, we should do that. A lot of people should try to sign up. Great action can get out there, get spread our amazing research.
Yeah, we got an invitation. I'm trying to remember. There was a date conflict or something.
I think it was the Sunday before finals week.
That's
Is
what
that the
it
one
is.
you're thinking?
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
it was. It was a Sunday before finals, and we were kind of, are we going to be able to do that?
Is it going to be the same date again? Do you know the
Oh,
date
I'm
for this
sure
year?
it is. That's
Okay.
when they've had it past 3 years, Sunday
Okay.
before finals week,
NCTM.
mid-afternoon. So.
But having said that, I think one of the things that we can look for, and we should keep on looking for, are venues to be able to share this kind of research. So possibilities could be even beyond graduation. There could be, math and science type of conferences that you can present at, which OCTM and CICO and so forth. Publications. There's no reason why some of these research projects can't be turned into publications that can go into journals, professional journals. I have had honors students do that with me in the past. I've worked on them with an honors project. They do a final paper, we tweak it into a submittable paper and get it published in a journal. So there are ways beyond this semester to continue to get this information out. So I would agree with you. And if you've got other ideas that come up, things that you run across, you think it would be good if we did this or considered that, let us know. But I do know the research symposium presented a problem because of the date. It was just, you look at your calendar and said, I'm not sure we can ask action students to do one more thing, you know, the day before finals begin. So,
Quick question, do you, you just mentioned something about doing the paper with an honor student. Do you have to give your faculty advisor credit if they've helped you along the way?
yes.
So in your paper, would you would you put them in your bibliography or in the top of your paper when you write does it say in the packet?
Yeah, actually, when we've published things in journals, and I've done this a number of times, the student is the lead author, and I am the second author.
Would we do that when we turn this into you?
No,
Or is
no,
that
not
just if
for
you were
this
to do it? Okay.
Not for
that's
this
what I was
paper.
asking.
Nope, you don't have to do that.
Got it.
Now you can put the project advisor, and I think actually the sample ones that are at Canvas, it says who the project advisor is. So you can put like your name and advisor's name on the title page type of a deal. That's kind of common. But if you do an article that gets published eventually in a journal based on this, then you become, what happens is your faculty advisor helps you to kind of refine and write that paper, and they become sort of a co-author with you, and you end up being the lead author, and they're a second author. And that's really cool when that happens. We've got a lot of, actually several faculty members have done that. I know Dr. Bostic just recently co-authored one with a student, and you know, carries both of your names, and you have a publication you credit in a journal, and it's very cool. So, and I think a lot of the things that are being done in these projects are very journal ready. They could be just reshaped into a publication.
Do we need both of our advisors to do this, or just our main advisor?
Just your main advisor, your main action advisor for us. Yep. Anything else? Okay, well, good luck with your student teaching, your TPA. If you have any questions that come up along the way, let me know. Just reminders, we're going to keep on meeting with our faculty advisor, as we talked about tonight. Anything that we need to add to the Canvas community, we will let you know about, and we will see you again, if not before, on April 22nd for the conversations. Okay? All right, thanks. Have a great week.